For my learning reflection number 2, through assigned coursework, students are expected to develop skills in analyzing, interpreting, and critiquing significant works of children's literature. I think in this half of the midterm, we definitely analyzed a lot of things as far as fairy tales and children's books, encoding and decoding children's pictures, and comic and graphic novels. As far as fairy tales are concerned, I feel like there's a lot of different things you can talk about when talking about fairy tales, how history has a lot to do with them, and how some companies like Disney changed the historical facts in order for it to be more viewer friendly. And for comic books are a great way for children to learn. You can teach a lot of things. The colors help them paint the picture more. They don't have to come up with what the characters may look like, but instead they can really just see it and go from there. So as a child, when I was growing up, I loved comic books. I didn't think they were as educational as regular literature works, but come to find out that they are just as educational, because sometimes they send messages that are just as important as other pieces of work, just they have pictures with them. So it helps creativity skills and the imagination in a child. Through reading, discussing, and writing about literature, students will appraise and evaluate the personal and social values of their own and other cultures. Well, as you can see, I'm African American, and I didn't grow up having a lot of books that the characters may or may have not looked like me. And in the book, specifically Harry Potter, they don't really mention a lot of black characters, but in the movie, there were a few. As far as comic books are concerned, I don't think I ever remember seeing a comic book with a little black girl in it or anything, but I did read books with children of color in them growing up, just not comic books or a lot of fairy tales. The only fairy tale that I know of that has a black character would be Princess and the Frog, and that came out when I was a little bit older, but still young enough to really enjoy it and watch it. And I feel like that has a lot to do with encoding and decoding, because me, the consumer, I think it took a lot for Disney to try to try to target just one group as far as a minority was concerned with a movie, because I feel like I don't think they knew what type of backlash they were going to get from certain communities, but I think it definitely turned out for the best as far as The Princess and the Frog was concerned. There is no other Disney movie out right now that I can think of that has a main black character that's a female or male at all. But I think it was definitely a new step towards diversity. My understanding of children's literature hasn't really changed second semester, because first semester I think it changed significantly. I feel like it's the foundation for our youth, and we should pay more attention to what we're feeding our kids and teaching them, because at the end of the day, they're going to grow into the adults that are going to run this nation. And if we aren't teaching them good morals and values, it's just going to reciprocate into the next generation, on and on and on, into this never-ending cycle, which is not okay. I think there definitely are many connections across the weeks, as far as children's book, comics books, graphic novels, and fairy tales, and encoding and decoding. I think that there are so many connections, but I think all of it connects as far as children's literature, of course, because at the end of the day, we're reading and talking about children's literary works. But I think we encode and decode things that we think people want to hear, and what we know works. We don't like to step across barriers and lines a lot, because we don't know what type of feedback we'd get from the community around us. So sometimes it's hard to take jumps. Like El Defo was a book not like any other book, but I'm sure it got a lot of great feedback, so it's not bad. And what do you understand better now that you might have changed your way engaging with prior material? I feel like I wish I knew a little bit more about comic books and graphic novels, because like I stated in my other module, I wish that Coraline and like had a lot more pictures, because the movie was so I don't know the word for it, but the movie was very I like it caught your eye, but the book didn't do that for me. If I had never seen the movie, I wouldn't really understood the book to its fullest capacity.